Clashes turned violent in the streets of Tel Aviv this weekend as hundreds of Eritrean government supporters and opponents hurled rocks at Israeli police officers and smashed business windows. Dozens suffered injuries, including law enforcement, with at least 3 protesters hit by police gunfire. The day marked one of the most violent street confrontations in Israel among African asylum seekers and migrants in recent years. Saturday's clashes came on the 30th anniversary of the current Eritrean leader's rise to power, with anti-government protesters wearing blue shirts modeled on the country's 1952 flag, a symbol of opposition to the ruling dictatorship. Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a special committee to discuss asylum seekers and migrants.
What happened yesterday crossed a red line. This is rioting. It is bloodshed. It is savageness that we cannot accept. We are seeking strong steps against the rioters, including the immediate expulsion of those who took part. It's hard for me to understand why we would have a problem with those who declare that they support the regime. They certainly cannot claim refugee status.
Netanyahu noted that Israel's Supreme Court earlier struck down some legislative measures designed to coerce the migrants to leave. For those who sought a life in Israel free from the dictatorship in Eritrea, the violence fosters uncertainty in an adopted homeland.
This event has left us shaken. We are ashamed and we're hurting. We're hurting, and we're also afraid and feel insecure in the country. We ran away from persecution in our country, and the dictator regime continues to persecute us, to silence us.
Eritreans account for the majority of the more than 30,000 African asylum seekers in Israel. Saturday's violent clashes came during what is now Israel's 35th consecutive week of mass protests following overhauls early in 2023 weakening the country's judiciary. Netanyahu's coalition of hard-right conservatives stripped the Supreme Court of oversight on his government. Israelis say the move is a step toward dictatorship, with some calling it a coup. Supporters of the legislation argue the judicial measures reinstate a balance of power in government branches. Critics say the measures do away with checks and balances. Arash, Arabasadi, VOA News.